Okay, this is gonna be an interesting video, but let's get to it. Guys, the day I'm filming this video, it is International Women's Day. So happy International Women's Day, and let's just celebrate everybody, including men, because they exist too. So on the topic of International Women's Day and celebrating celebrating women and men and children and everyone, and just celebrating their rights, I want to talk about domestic violence. So when I think of domestic violence, I think of domestic violence against women, and I think of all the women and children who've been killed because of domestic violence, but I also think of men. I think of everyone because everyone's involved. Domestic violence, it conjures up a lot of questions, and for me, one of those questions is, what are we doing about it? Because we talk so much about it, which is great, you know, that's a great start. But I think we're talking a bit too much and we're not doing enough. And I know it's such a hard topic to tackle in one go, but as a community, as an international community, because it's not just Australia that domestic violence occurs in, obviously, it's the entire world. So as an international community, what are we doing to prevent domestic violence and violence in general? I believe something that we can do to prevent domestic violence for the future is by instilling better education about what domestic violence is, what violence is, what it looks like, so that we're able to spot the red flags before anything happens, before anyone loses their life. And I think that education should start from the very beginning. As soon as children are able to understand the world around them and interact with it, I think they should be taught what violence is, what it looks like, and how we can prevent it, as well as understanding what effects it has on communities, on individuals, hence why we shouldn't commit acts of violence. Domestic violence, again, violence in general, is such a preventable matter. It is so entirely 100% preventable. And obviously there is always going to be danger in the world, but when it comes to other humans, hurting other humans purposely, like on purpose, that's preventable. That is largely 100% preventable. And that's what makes me so angry, I suppose, when I hear about domestic violence cases. Of course, anger doesn't help anyone, but it makes me sad when I hear about Preeti Reddy. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say her name, but the Sydney dentist that was killed a couple days ago, and her body has since been found. It's just such a sad case, like all of them. And yeah, again, it makes me sad, it makes me angry that these cases keep popping up. And there are cases that we don't even hear about because, you know, there are just so many, and I don't understand why it keeps happening, because it's preventable. Another reason I'm passionate about this issue is because, obviously, being a woman and just a person myself, you know, a citizen of a very big community, of an international community, and engaging with the community, being alive today and functioning in this society, of course, you know, I would like to stay alive. I would love to never have to be involved in a domestic violence situation at all. And that should be the case for everyone. No one should have to suffer through something like that. I hate to sort of segregate myself because violence applies to everyone. So even though I'm a woman and it appears that I'm more of a target than maybe men are, I still think this applies to everyone. But as a person in this society, I do feel that I should be able to move through my neighborhood, through every environment at any time of the day and not feel unsafe. You know, so for instance, when I go to work tonight, I have a closing shift, which means I finish around 11:30 at night. And while I do live in a very safe and good neighborhood, my dad will still come and pick me up because it's just a safer option to be driven home by my dad than have to walk home. And the same with going to university. Where I go to university is quite a way away from where I actually live, And I do have a night class where I will be walking home in the dark. And of course, I fear for my life just a little bit. You know, I don't have to be fending off some reckless person who thinks they have control over me, thinking that they can hurt or even kill me because, you know, they can, when really they shouldn't be able to, because it's wrong to kill somebody, you know? I simply just don't think people should be losing their lives because of somebody else's issue. You know, like, everyone is entitled to their opinion, but you don't be a dick about it, you know? Where the world has gone wrong so many times is when somebody else has thought that their opinion was superior to another and tried to get this other person to conform to their own opinion. Look, sorry that not everyone agrees with you, but welcome to the world of individuals, of uniqueness. Welcome to the world where there are almost 8 billion people on the planet. We're not all going to be the same, and we're not all going to agree with one another, but we should learn to accept each other's differences, learn to accept and acknowledge that we all have different opinions and that we're not always going to agree. You know, as soon as we acknowledge that, I think the world could be a little bit more peaceful. Okay? So this year, 2019, so far, in March, the 3rd month of the year, 12 women and 3 children have lost their lives due to domestic violence. So the total number of women killed has been 12. The total number of men has actually been 25. So for those people who think that more women are killed than men, you know, that's a little bit of a difference right there. I got these stats from a website called Impact, which I think is an Australian organisation that obviously fights against domestic violence. They've got very specific stats on domestic violence numbers. So yeah, the total number of women killed this year is 12. The number of women killed by male suspects is 10. The number of women killed by female suspects is 1. And the alleged relationship violence deaths, so cases where women have died in a relationship dispute, such as the Sydney dentist killed by her ex-boyfriend, the number of deaths is 9 of those 12. The total number of men killed was 25. Number of men killed by male suspects was 21. Number of men killed by female suspects was 3. And of the 25 men killed, the alleged relationship violence death was 2. It's March. We're 3 months. We're not even 3 months into the year. We're literally like in the 2nd week of March. Those are the numbers of people killed in domestic violence cases. That is so unacceptable. All those numbers should be 0. And again, I know we live in an imperfect world and we all want peace. We all want the world to be, well, like the Garden of Eden, but we all know what happened there. But these numbers, they need to go down. And the only way they're going to go down is once we start doing something. We've got to band together as a big group and start thinking of things to do, such as changing the laws. There have been many law reforms over the years to combat domestic violence and try to prevent further endangerment of people in situations like that. And as a big community, I think we need to start pushing for more law reforms that will change the way we educate our children on this topic. And also, I think another part about domestic violence and how we go about addressing it and talking about it to other people is we need to start instilling more confidence in people to speak up and to actually say no and like be able to spot the signs earlier, so that we never get to the point where we're having these numbers just keep going up. So I think, as well as asking for more law reforms and asking, we're at the point now where we are demanding change to the law, to the education system and how we educate our children. But we also need to be demanding that people speak up more. We're listening. People are listening. We're here to listen to you. We're not going to smack you down if you say that you're in this situation. You know, we don't even want it to be a situation, okay? We need to start educating people on what those signs are, how to spot them, and then how to stop the situation before it gets out of hand. Have confidence. If you know something, if you've experienced something, say something, because as an international community, everyone is listening, and we are always going to be here to support anyone in those situations, in any dangerous situation. We want to be able to support you. Along with every government, we want to be able to support you and help you and prevent these situations from going further, because we do not need more lives lost because of these preventable dangers. This was a really heavy video, guys. Thank you so much if you've gotten all the way to the end. This is something I'm really passionate about, and especially on International Women's Day, a day where we want to be celebrating people's rights. I think this is something that we really need to start working on, and I know there have been changes made, but we're not quite there yet. Thanks for watching, guys.